Hey there, and welcome to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. I'm Greg Rhodes, sitting here with David Levitt, president and founder of the Refresh Computer Superstore. And you can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. Or if you have any other comments during the show, go ahead and leave an open mic using the WDBO app. You can also check out their website at refreshcomputers.net or stop in at the Refresh Computer Superstore in Longwood at 820 East State Road 434, just 3.5 miles east of I-4 in Longwood. Store hours are Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you're listening to the show here on Saturday, that means you still have time to stop by. They'll be open until 7 p.m. today. And now for the man himself, David Levitt.
All right. Thanks, Greg. And thanks, everybody, for listening to Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. Again, I'll repeat what Greg just said. If you're listening on Saturday, you still have time to stop by the store. This show repeats every Sunday from 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. And if you're listening during that time period, well, we're closed on Sundays. So stop on by during the week. We're open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. And I hope you're enjoying the new format. Well, I call it the new format. We've been doing this now for probably 6 or 7 weeks, Greg.
Yeah, something like that.
Where we talk more about tech topics that we think you might be interested in hearing about, maybe some new things going on, a lot more about that kind of thing, technology news and technology enhancements and advancements, as opposed to, just being an hour-long plug for Refresh Computers.
Even though it kind of is, we want you to enjoy this and think of Refresh Computers by the end of it, right?
We definitely do. We definitely do, because Refresh Computers pays for this space.
Yes, they do.
So, we hope that you enjoy what you're listening to. And if you do, and if you have not signed up yet, go to refreshcomputers.net. At the bottom of every page on our website, there is a sign-up form. It's very simple. All you do is enter your email address and click submit, and that's it. And then you will be signed up to receive notifications, such as when we send one out, usually every Saturday around 3 p.m. Between 3 and 4 p.m., you'll get notified via email that the latest podcast has been released, has been published. And what's really cool about what we're doing with these notifications now, Greg, is we are actually, this is like a no-brainer, but which we haven't been doing in the past, embarrassingly enough. I've had several customers request this, which is why we're doing it now. It's a brief synopsis of what we talked about on the show. So at least have some idea of the different topics, all the different topics, because sometimes we'll cover 3, 4, 5, 6 topics on one show. And now you'll get to see those bullet points in the email letting you know what we're going to talk about before you click on listen to the show, because it is about 41 minutes of listening without any commercial breaks.
Man of the people.
Yes.
Listening and giving them what they wanted, Dave. I love it.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback about doing that the last several weeks is what we've been doing. So again, bottom of any page at refreshcomputers.net, there's a place to just put in your email address. We don't ask for blood. We don't ask for your name. We don't ask for anything else, just your email, and that will sign you up to receive notifications of when the podcast is ready to be listened to. And also, you'll get once a week, you'll get inventory update, like the latest and greatest laptops and desktops. That comes out every Monday morning around 7 a.m., that email, and you'll get to see what's the latest and greatest that we got in stock in the past week, because we're always getting new inventory. So what are the Tech Talk topics? It's almost a tongue twister. Tech Talk topics today are going to be streaming services, which are quietly, some maybe not so quietly, raising prices again. And not only are they raising their prices, Greg, they're changing their plans around a little bit. Mm-hmm. So you're getting a little bit less maybe, and you're paying a little bit more. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. Also, there are major apps are pushing more subscriptions into everyday tech. So, you used to own everything, right? You used to just go and
one-time fee, that's mine, I own that now.
I own it, and maybe every couple of years I'd have to buy it again because, it got outdated. Right. Yeah. I'm talking about things like Microsoft Office. Remember those days? QuickBooks. Remember those days? If you have QuickBooks where you just paid for it and just used it. And we still have people coming in the store, Greg, with like 15-year-old versions of QuickBooks who just refuse to update. And the problem with that is they can't even use a computer with Windows 11 because it won't work. I mean, it's the older version just won't work on it, so they have to use old computers, and so maybe it's time to get with it, and that's what we pretty much try to, as politely as possible, to let them know, hey, if you're doing something that's so important that you have to use QuickBooks,
you want to keep that secure.
Keep it secure.
Absolutely.
Keep it updated and make sure you get the latest and greatest out of those kinds of things. So we're also going to talk a little bit about device storage is becoming a bigger issue for most users, and we'll get into the reasons why. And people are hitting tech fatigue is a new term these days. There's just a lot of tech going on all around us, right? And it's hard to keep up with.
It's ingrained into everything, it seems like now.
And there's like too many accounts, too many logins, and things like that. And I'm just waiting for my microwave to ask me for $4.99 a month or something.
Yours hasn't asked you yet? I had to click the box that says, "Don't ask me this again."
Did you? Okay, yeah. So let's get into the subscription takeover movement right now. All these companies are requiring people pretty much to sign up for subscriptions to things as opposed to outright owning them, right? And then renewing them every few years like the old way. And, why people are fed up with that. So what's happening right now, definitely more companies, most tech companies, pretty soon all of them, I think, will be shifting to subscription-only models. I mentioned Microsoft Office, what we know as Office. They keep changing the name now. Office 365, and now their AI version of 365. Yeah, and it's gotten out of hand. And
you can't even keep up with the names of them anymore, much less the price on the subscription. Yeah.
Microsoft's changed the name of Office like 5 times in the last 2 years, and it's hard to keep up with that. And you're not going to be able to just buy Office anymore and have it. I mean, they held on pretty long, but they're going to stop allowing you just to buy it. You're going to have to pay for it every month or once a year.
I used a copy of Office XP for the longest time, just because that was the last one that my mom bought at the house. So it just kept on moving up into all these different computers that we had because it was still around.
Well, and I used to be, same thing with me. Years ago, I was so hard-headed and so stubborn, like a lot of our customers, who you are out there, that I'm not paying them, to subscribe to anything. I would refuse to do it, even though I could afford it, even though it was not a big deal financially for me to do so.
Right.
It just didn't feel like the right thing to do to, give these companies money every month. But now if you don't do that, then you're going to be stuck. Mm-hmm. You're just stuck, and you kind of have to do that. And I would say I made that paradigm shift way of thinking about Office probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and been paying for this subscription ever since, because you know what, Greg? And I have to admit, a little bit of foot and mouth here. I was ecstatic after I decided to change and got past that paradigm shift, thinking about I'm not going to rent something, I'm just going to own it.
Right.
And once I got past that and started using Office every day, the rented, it's always updated. I never have to worry about it. I can download it on, I think, 5 or 6 computers, and actually have the actual copy of Office on my computer. And by the way, folks, I don't get paid a penny from Microsoft for any of this advice. It's just the way to do it now anyway, I think.
And the integration that they have with like the cloud sharing now and things like that, it makes it so much easier to share it across your platforms. So, it makes sense that some of these have gone to that subscription service, but that doesn't mean that it's not a concerning trend, right?
That's right. That's right. And another concerning trend is a good segue to get into your streaming services you pay attention to those, folks, because they are quietly, yes, and sometimes very sleuthily adjusting pricing tiers and their features. Mm-hmm. So they might come out and say, this one particular streaming service, the price is going to go up $2 a month or $3 a month. Well, the first thing you think is, darn, $2 or $3 more a month. Oh, well, whatever. I have to do it because I need it. But then what you need to do also is go back and look at what else they're doing, because they're actually, in a lot of cases, reducing the amount of features that you're getting. So it's not just that they've increased the price, which is the first thing everybody pays attention to.
Right. That's the headline grabber.
That's the headline grabber.
And that's something that's actually very, very timely right now as we talk, is Netflix, and I'm going to call them out directly because Netflix just went up.
Awful opening day game.
Absolutely. Oh, that was horrendous. That was horrendous.
Gosh.
If a little self plug, I did an article on WDBO.com if you want to read a little bit about how bad I thought the opening day game was, or the opening night. Sorry, quote unquote, opening night.
The foggy, and I thought something was wrong with my TV.
Right,
and then they would switch cameras and think, oh no, that's just the fog in the lens or something from that center field camera. It was terrible.
The production was bad. I didn't like the calling. They missed the first ABS call.
They did. Why? Because they're chattering.
They're doing one of their 19 interviews that they did during the game.
Stop doing interviews, Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, all of you. When the game is on, we want to watch the game.
You'll like my article, Dave. You should read it.
But anyway, stop doing interviews in the middle of an inning.
I know.
It's terrible.
But Netflix specifically, I'm going to call them out because they did a price increase this week. They did. And they're one of those groups that is notorious for, we're just going to increase your price of your plan, but we're going to strip away multiple details of your plan. You can only stream it on 2 devices now. You no longer have access to the 4K content. You can only have HD content, things like that. They're notorious for those little details that you don't think about in your plan until they're not there anymore.
Yeah, probably the biggest one that is. And they were one of the companies I was thinking of when I was making that statement is, they're increasing their prices, but they're giving you less stuff at the same time. And so you have to kind of peel it back and look at that. And, probably Netflix increased their prices because they had to pay Major League Baseball a lot of money.
And the Paul brothers,
Yeah, exactly. To air that first Major League Baseball game, opening day game. And, no secret, I love baseball. I think you do too. Mm-hmm. But I was so disappointed in that game, in more ways than one, too, even the outcome. But that's another story. But anyway, so again, monthly costs are adding up, multiple subscriptions. You just forget about them. Right. After a while, there's a whole cottage industry going on right now of companies. You've probably seen them coming out. Hey, you can pay us so we can find all the subscriptions you don't know you have anymore. Right.
Pay us a subscription fee so that way we can find all the subscriptions that you don't need anymore. Yeah.
That's a whole thing going on right now. And, and then there's also things that they're doing that they're locking features behind paywalls. So even though you're paying them a monthly subscription, there's some things, there's a lot of the AI companies are good for this, Greg. Mm-hmm. The ones that come out with all this AI stuff.
Well, we've seen recently with X and XAI with Grok's use on Twitter, or now formerly Twitter, now X, where you could previously ask in the comments, hey, Grok, is this something? And Grok would review the comments and give you spit back a feature. Well, now you have to be a subscribed member of X to be able to use that feature
to
inside
just
the
use
comments.
It. Yeah,
and that was something that had been free for the longest time. It was kind of one of the big things that made Grok a little bit different compared to certain things.
But they kind of fell in with everybody else because they're all wanting you now to. I mean, there's the free version, but let's face it, that one doesn't really give you much, and then. Any of them, whether you pay for it or not, but especially the free versions. I'm going to throw this out there. Be careful of the advice and the results that it's given you. And especially be cautious when it keeps congratulating you. Oh, you are so smart to ask such an intelligent question. Things like that. When you see that, no, they're just buttering you up.
Stop talking to me like that, AI. Right.
So I don't know. So things like how many subscriptions are too many? Do people even know what they're paying for? And so, and some of these subscriptions, are they sustainable in the long run? And I will tell you that. As more that tech gets advanced, the more that people seem to need a company like Refresh Computers. So you would think it would be the other way around. But, we're there for you. We have that free tech support hotline, 407-478-8200, or bring your device on into the store at any time that we're open, and we'll be able to help you out.
And all these subscriptions and all these extra apps you have what leading to you running out of storage on your device? We'll tackle that topic coming up next here. You've been listening to Tech Talk right here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Hey there, and welcome back to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. I'm Greg Rhodes here with David Levitt, president and founder of the Refresh Computer Superstore. And you can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. And if you have any other comments during the show, we'd love to hear them. Use that open mic feature inside the WDBO app. And now, back to Dave.
All right. Thanks, Greg. And thanks, everybody, for listening to Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. We appreciate you listening. If you're listening on Saturday, we're still open, so come on into the store. We're there till 7 p.m. If you're listening on Sunday morning, then we're not open, so we'll hopefully see you afterwards. If you need help, even when we're not open, you can still call that free tech support hotline and leave us a voicemail message. We'll get back to you the next business day with a response. So that number is 407-478-8200. Or you can send an email to us. The email address is actually Longwood, like the city of Longwood. So longwood@refreshcomputers.net. And we can, we'll get that and ask your question there. We'll respond to you there. Or you can go to the website, refreshcomputers.net. There is a contact me form right there. You can spell out whatever you want to contact us about right there, put in your information, and we'll get back to you there also.
That email is going to be handy for people to send you like screenshots of error messages and things like that as well.
That's true. True. And, even our phone number, you can text 407-478-8200, and we will be able to receive that as a text in our system and respond to you that way too. So that's another 24-hour way of getting in touch with us initially. So this segment, we want to talk about why you might be running out of storage space. What's causing you to run out of storage space, especially on something like your smartphone, right?
Sure, especially so many of them anymore. You don't have that expandable storage option. You're stuck with what you got.
And people, like to hone in on photos and videos, right? Because let's face it, that's a big culprit of taking up a ton of your storage. But what I would like you to do also is look at your apps and see which ones you just don't use anymore and delete them. You'll be surprised how much storage space that you can free up by deleting unused apps. I mean, there's people, we help people, if you have issues with this or you can't figure out what to do, bring your device to the store. We'll help you out right there at the store. And so we see it, I see people with, 200 apps or something on their phone or 300 apps. And a lot of them are clouded. We call it clouded out. So they're not active because they have been reduced to not being usable.
Right, like a sleep mode kind of thing.
Sleep mode,
right?
but they still are taking up space.
Yeah.
So just, and then you would have to re-download them in order to use them again. But here's a secret, here's a tip, is that you're not really re-downloading the whole app. The whole app is still actually most of it is still on your phone. It's just in sleep mode and it's in the background in order to save up a little bit more space. But if you delete that whole app, even though it's in sleep mode, then you'll get more space that way too. So
much of that ends up being those games that just get downloaded when you do updates. Like this is a mandatory game for whatever reason on some of these smartphones. I free up so much space by deleting those games that I never even touch on my smartphone.
There's the games that just come with your phone when you get them. Yeah, delete that stuff. If you don't really need it, if you don't use it, delete those apps. That's going to be one of the ways you're going to be able to free up more space on your phone. And speaking of apps for your phone, there are apps that will help you free up space on your phone. So be careful. Make sure you get the right one. There's several of them out there right now. Look for one that's highly rated. Look for one that has a lot of ratings, not just highly rated. Sometimes you'll see an app with a 4.8 rating or something, and then if you look a little deeper, you see it only has 10 ratings. So get one. If you're going to get one of these apps that will help you clean up your iPhone or your Android phone, make sure you get one that has thousands and tens of thousands of reviews on it. That's because it's going to be a lot more legitimate. You can be taken because you have to give access to your photos and your videos in order for it to delete them. So you don't want to use a brand new app. I just wouldn't go there. Wait for an app to get popular. So
make sure you know what you're giving access to and why it needs it. But did this all sound a little maybe complicated? You're not alone. A lot of people feel that way.
Right.
Tech is getting more and more confusing. We'll try and tackle that topic for you and more coming up next. You've been listening to Tech Talk right here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Hey there, and welcome to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. I'm Greg Rhodes, sitting here with David Levitt, president and founder of Refresh Computer Superstore. And you can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. Or if you have a comment during the show, we'd love to hear it. Use that open mic feature inside the WDBO app. You can also check out the website over at refreshcomputers.net or stop in at the Refresh Computer Superstore in Longwood at 820 East State Road 434, just 3.5 miles east of I-4 in Longwood. Store hours are Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And if you're listening to the show here on Saturday, that means you still have time to stop by. They'll be open until 7 p.m. today. And now, back to the man himself, David Levitt.
All right. Thanks, Greg. And thanks, everybody, for listening to Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. I'm hoping that you are enjoying this episode. We talked in the beginning about streaming services that are quietly raising prices while at the same time reducing features that you may not be aware that they're even doing because most people hone in on the price increase, but they've got to peel back the onion a little bit. You're not really getting more for that price increase. They're actually taking away features, Greg. So major apps are pushing more subscriptions, right, into everyday tech. We talked about that, and we talked about why device storage is becoming a bigger issue for most users. And right now we're going to get into why tech is getting more confusing and not easier. And
isn't that the whole point of all this, is to make our lives simpler, easier, more navigatable, right?
Right. Yeah. It's, and there for a while it seemed like it was on a roll. It was doing that kind of thing. But the more tech advances, especially since AI has gotten involved, the more that tech has advanced, the more confusing we are getting. And so, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, is that one of the things that keeps us in business is the fact that tech is advancing so much. It is not the other way around, because I've had customers say, well, geez, tech has advanced so far, pretty soon people aren't going to need you anymore. And it's like, no, it's actually the other way around. Right. It's advanced so much that people need us more.
The people that didn't think they needed a tech guy now all of a sudden need a tech guy because they can't understand what's going on, right?
Because it's supposed to simplify your life. But for many people, it's doing the opposite, yeah. Greg. So what's changing? So there's more accounts out there, more different types of things going on, more passwords you have to keep track of.
Ties into all those subscriptions we talked about, having to have all of these additional things to sign in just for the product that you thought you kind of already owned but didn't really.
And then, another big headache are the constant updates that these apps are doing, and they're changing their layouts. So you just get used to the way something looks, and then there's another update to that app that you're using, and boom. Now you got to relearn things all over again.
That is the worst. You think you finally figured out exactly how to, you built out your process, you know how to navigate inside this whole program, and then all of a sudden there's an update and it says, do you want to hold on to the old view or do you want to go to the new view that you're going to be required to have in the next update?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, oh no.
And it's just like, I'll let you know some of the things that, what we're hearing today. People coming into the store, people calling us on the phone. That free tech support hotline again is 407-478-8200. The things that we're hearing right now is, it worked yesterday and today is not working. That is a constant thing when an app gets an update, right? Settings keep moving. So we just talked about, the screen, the entire screen sometimes is rearranged. Or you used to be able to go to a specific spot to get to your settings, and now that spot's gone. Where is it now? So that kind of thing is going on. Features being hard to find. that you were finding before, but now you're not. And there's just simply, maybe just too many choices, too many choices, too many things, too many options for you to try to figure out things. And why are there so many options? And this is important. It's because these tech companies, Greg, they design these apps, every single one of them not every one, but I would say 99% of them probably design these apps for the power user.
Sure.
For the one that's going to take advantage of all these features that most of us don't care about or have no need for. And so you have to get past all that. And I'll throw it, QuickBooks is one of those. There's so much crap in QuickBooks.
Yeah.
If you, so much. And another annoying thing, I'll call QuickBooks out, just like you called Netflix out on the baseball game. QuickBooks, I pay you a monthly subscription. I pay you a lot of money for a monthly subscription. I don't want to see your ads popping up across my screen, trying to get me to buy something else. Mm-hmm. If I'm interested in it, I'll go research it and I'll find it myself. Never have I ever seen an ad QuickBooks that you popped up on my screen that I said, oh yeah, I can use that.
Right.
Ever. Mm-hmm. Because I have a very specific use for it. It does a lot of things for us, but we're sick and tired of these things. You're paying for a subscription. You don't want to also see ads. So there's a lot of applications where I have a free version, or you can pay them money for an ad-free version. So you get a free version with ads, mm-hmm. or you can pay a little bit of money and get no ads in the app that you're using. A lot of games do this and things like that.
Netflix,
yeah. But come on, QuickBooks, we're paying you a lot of money every month. And, we don't want to see your ads, when they're coming out there. So there's just too many things going on. So another few examples of why people will bring their device to us, Greg, or because these things are getting too complicated, is that, settings that we talked about earlier, mm-hmm. and they're actually, instead of like having a main settings button that like we're used to seeing.
Where settings should be, right.
There's settings. Oh, okay. Where's settings? Oh, it's right there where I can see it. I can click on it. Settings now, and a lot of these apps are buried in menus. Mm-hmm. So you got to know which menu to click on just to get to the settings. And that's a bit of annoying because when you want to change something in your settings or you want to check out something in your settings, well, you just want to go to settings. You don't want to have to navigate to find settings. And another thing that these apps are doing is just, we brushed on this earlier, but just way too many features, things you just don't want or need. And again, it's because they're designed for power users. And a lot of these companies want to make sure they hit all the bases, that just in case there's somebody that needs that third base app,
right?
We're going to throw that in there, although most of us only want to get the first base.
And, it used to be that you would have to specifically subscribe for that level of the software. You would have to you'd get the additional disc, or you would get the, you know what I mean? And now it's all ingrained because, again, everybody's just trying to simplify on their side. Let's just put everything together in one program and send it out. People can buy it. That's what our option is. There's no tiers to these kinds of programs anymore.
Well, and I think a simple explanation for that would be, they're trying to make it more capable. Mm-hmm. In doing so, they're making it more complex. Yeah. They're just making it so much more complex for us, and which is, keeping companies like Refresh Computers around is helping because, people need us to help navigate through all these changes that's been going on. So what can you do about these things? What do we tell people that come in or call us about these kinds of issues? Maybe, look at, if you can get past this, simplify your devices. Simplify. Again, I'll go back to get rid of all those apps that you don't use or you barely use. You might use one. I might use FlightAware because I go on 2 flights a year or something. So I don't want to get rid of that app because I want to use it again. You know what? Delete it anyway off your phone. If you're only going to use something 1 or 2 times a year, delete it off your phone, because guess what? When you go back into the App Store, it's still there.
You can always re-download it. Yep.
And it knows that you had it before. And even though you delete it on your phone, at least on the iPhones, I know that on the Apple iPhone, because this happens on my phone, when you delete it and then you reinstall it 6 months later, It still knows all your login information. It still knows all that stuff because it's stored up there in Apple's. Let Apple store all that stuff for you. They have all the storage space, right? You don't need to store it on your phone. So if you use these apps once or twice a year, even, and you're afraid to get rid of them, go ahead and just delete them. They're not going to go away. And I will caution.
Very freeing.
Well, I will caution there are some apps out there. If you use an app that's maybe it's not a very widely used or very well-known app. I'll give one example. It's called Wion. It's WION, which don't look for it because you can't find it anymore. And so what happens there with that one, I used to use that to control my pool pump.
Okay.
Because I had it set up. I had my pool pump switches, Wi-Fi mode, a company called Wion or Wion, WION, and used to control the pool lights, what time you can put the pump on, schedule the pump, control it, turn it on, turn it off remotely, do all those fun things. And during a recent update to something else on my iPhone, Greg, that was one of the apps that went to sleep. And so fast forward, 6 months later when I needed to use it, I went to it was still there. And then I went to click on the little cloud thing, so it'll download again on my phone. That app is no longer available in the Apple Store.
Oh, no.
So that one went out.
Do you remember the Flappy Bird craze?
Mm-mm.
A couple of years ago, it was a game on the iPhone called Flappy Bird, and the developer made it, and it went viral. Everybody downloaded this one game. Well, then the iPhone, the developer canceled the game after a couple of months. It got too popular. He didn't feel comfortable with it anymore.
Couldn't keep up.
Keep up. So he canceled the game and that deleted it out of the iPhone store. Well, people lost their minds if they couldn't download this game anymore. Then phones that still had that game downloaded on it were going on sale on eBay for thousands of dollars. Even though this was like a 3 or 4 year old iPhone, it was on sale for thousands. And people were buying them. People were buying them just to have access to this one game. So yes,
that's crazy.
Like you mentioned, if you've got that app that you really like to use and is maybe one of those indie developers or something like that.
Yeah, so that's
be careful with those.
And I felt like I had to mention that because you have to. I am telling you, advising you to delete these old apps that you're only using once or twice a year. But before you do that, you may want to go check to make sure that app is still available.
You may have the next Flappy Bird
in the App Store, and that's easy to do. Just go to the App Store and look for it, and if it's still there, well, it's still there. If you can't find it anymore, well, then maybe you don't want to delete that app. Mm-hmm. And the sad part, Greg, is like what happened on my phone is that when you do an update, so you got a new iOS update, and that you want to update your phone with, the sad thing is a lot of times Apple just by itself will just shut down a whole bunch of apps in order to do the update. Mm-hmm. And if that's one of the apps they shut down and it's not in the App Store anymore, you're not going to be able to get it back.
You just Flappy Bird people you couldn't download the latest updates, otherwise it deleted the app for you. So yep.
So you just got to be careful about those kinds of things. So, but folks, you can come on in. I keep throwing this. This show is sponsored by my store, Refresh Computers. We're located at 820 East State Road 434 there in Longwood. If you're having any of these kinds of issues, we're there. We have a store full of very smart guys, very smart. We have, Greg, the nicest bunch of nerds that I can
lovingly calling them nerds.
Lovingly. No, because I say that because they're nerds with human skills, the people skills.
Yep.
I mean, so they really know how to take care of you. And we have through our interview process, I've mentioned this a time or two on the show, we do a little bit of a psychological thing with folks. It's not hard. And because we want to make sure they'll be able to not only know what they're talking about, but be able to talk to you about it. Mm-hmm. If you come in the store in a way that you're going to understand, not try to talk over your head. I cannot stand when a tech purposely tries to show how smart they are by talking over your head. And I guarantee you none of my techs will be doing that kind of thing because they just don't. They're just all a bunch of nice folks. So you can come on into the store and visit us again. It's Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. We are closed on Sundays. Well, we like to have a little bit of a breather once a week. And so Sundays, of course, is a obvious day to do that. And so we're hoping to see you there. And don't forget this podcast. Just go to refreshcomputers.net. You can listen to this show in its entirety by going to that website. You can click on the podcast link and you'll find it right there. And if you want to be efficient about it, just while you're at refreshcomputers.net, go to the bottom of any page, put in your email address, and we'll notify you via email sometime Saturday afternoon when this podcast is available to be listened to with highlights in the email, so you'll know what we're talking about before you have to start listening.
We spent a lot of this show talking about the apps that you need to delete. But what if you need to download a new app? Well, slow your horses on that one as well. We'll talk more on that. You've been listening to Tech Talk right here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Hey there, and welcome back to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. I'm Greg Rhodes here with David Levitt, president and founder of Refresh Computer Superstore. You can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. Also, check out their website over at refreshcomputers.net. And now, back to Dave.
All right. Thanks, Greg. And thanks, everybody, for listening to Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. I hope that if you've been able to listen to this whole show, I hope you were, that you've enjoyed our Tech Talk topics of the day. And if you missed anything, go to our website at refreshcomputers.net. You can click on the podcast link at the top of the page and listen to the show in its entirety. Or better yet, sign up for our emails by going to refreshcomputers.net at the bottom of every page, put in your email address, and we will notify you when the show is being ready to be listened to, and with some highlights in the email so you'll know what we're talking about. And also every Monday morning you will get a list of the latest 3 or 4 laptops and 3 or 4 desktops that have made it to the Refresh Computer Superstore there in Longwood, so you can keep track of the inventory coming in. So we talked about a whole bunch of things today, and we need to finish off by why you don't need so many apps on your phone. You just don't. And we talked in the previous segment about going in and just finding all these apps that you haven't used, and if you only use an app once or twice a year, delete it. You might want to go check and make sure that that app is, especially if it's kind of a specialty app, make sure that that app is still going to be available by just going to your app store and checking to make sure it's in there. If it's not in there, then probably shouldn't delete that particular app if you want to use it later, because you won't be able to if it's not in the app store anymore. But, a lot of these popular apps, you probably have more than one browser app. I always use Chrome.
I was going to say there's Chrome, there's Safari, there's Opera, there's
always
Mozilla.
Yeah, and so I deleted. You can delete Safari on your iPhone, which is Apple's app. You don't have to have it there, and so you take it out, delete it, and you can delete a lot of the apps that you don't need anymore, and that's going to clean up a lot of space too. You'd be surprised how much space you're going to clean up on your phone if you're running out of space. If you just delete those unnecessary apps, you don't need them. Some people have multiple security apps. You just figure out which one you need. And again, if you need help figuring out which one you need, that's what we're there for. Use that free tech support hotline, 407-478-8200, or come on to the Refresh Computer Superstore at 820 East State Road 434, 3.5 miles east of I-4, right there in Longwood, and we'll bring your device. We'll take a few minutes with you, go through it, and help you figure out what's going on. People have multiple cleanup tools because they downloaded a cleanup tool, used it. It's too confusing. Let me download another one. Use that one. I don't know, maybe that one. Or then they just stop using them. Sometimes people have 3, 4, 5 cleanup tools we're finding on the phones. Delete all those. Just get them out. And that's one of those tools, Greg, that you can always just keep deleted off your phone.
Sure.
Just put it on if you want to use it, reinstall it, use it, delete it again.
And often, so many times, I know at least with my Samsung, that tool's already built into your phone. There's ways to do that with your phone without downloading an additional app. So,
but but there's still apps out there that you can get to do the same thing that's already inherent on your phone. So you just gotta watch out. So what's the better approach? Fewer better tools, better apps on your phone. Learn what you actually have. Take a few minutes. Like, I told you, some people come in, we'll see 100, 200 apps on their phone. That's insane. You don't need that many. Right. To delete a lot of them. You'll free up a lot of spaces. So learn what you have and take it from there. And again, avoid stacking unnecessary apps, because you can do that. And, we see that all the time. The same type of thing that you have 5 apps for on your phone. You don't need the 5 different apps, especially if you see that they've been clouded, I'll call, where they're not really completely on your phone, but if you need them, you can download them again. Delete those. Just get them off your phone if you can. That's the better approach. I'm pretty sure that you'll be happy that you did that if you do. So we're out of time, folks. I really appreciate you listening to Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. This is David Levitt, owner and founder of Refresh Computers, and we'll be talking to you again live from Lake Eola next week, right, Greg?
That's right. Spring Fiesta in the park.
All right.